Hello everyone, Kyle here, and today we're going to be checking out some InfraSpace. I'd like to thank the good people over at Dionic Software for supplying me with a key for this video. Not like their house key, but a game key. It would be weird if they sent me their house key, because I've got so used to climbing through the window. So, what exactly is InfraSpace? Well, it's a game. Now that you're all caught up, let's begin. You start your journey crashing into a planet on a ship full of people who, for whatever reason, aren't living for the moment and enjoying the ride. I can only assume that this guy is us because he looks like he'd given up before even stepping foot on the spaceship. On your new desert paradise, you have one goal: to mine stuff, build stuff, and rebuild your spaceship. Okay, so there's a few more goals than I first let on, but don't let that put you off, oh no, because they all work towards an ultimate goal, which is to not die alone. We can achieve this by colonizing the planet and bringing others down with us. So, our first task is to build a road next to sulfur. But what sulfur are they talking about? This is sulfur, and this is sulfur, and even this is sulfur, but not this. This is not sulfur. I know what we can do. We'll just make a mega road that goes between all of them. It will be like a romanticized American highway, except it will smell like rotten eggs. Oh, wait a minute. So it'll be like a British highway. Just connect it from here, and then there, and oh, what does this mean? Road is colliding with something? Oh, stop it. Fine. Let's go ahead and fix it by making it safer for everyone. Ooh. Just need to wiggle it down here, and yeah, that looks much better, doesn't it? Crisis averted. Crisis somewhat averted. Anyway, where were we? Connect it here, and oh, I don't know what this is, but I want to carry it around in my pocket like loose change. There we go. We've successfully built the first great highway of our planet. If I was the average content creator, that would be the end of this video, but you're in luck because I'm far below average, so there's more. Sorry about that. Build a sulfur mine. Okay, I'll assume it must go next to sulfur, otherwise it's just a mine, and I have enough of those already. Build a sand mine. Common sense tells me to build it in the sandiest place on the planet, which just so happens to be right here. There is a ridiculous amount of sand right here. Next, we'll connect them all up. It doesn't tell me to do this, but I'm my own boss. We'll make the road a bit bendy so that it's a little more interesting. I mean, what is a road journey without the fear of impending doom? There we go. Now they can kind of just fall off the edge here, and they can jump the gap over there to save time. Build a concrete factory. Okay then, we'll place it up high so people know where it is. I mean, of course, we could just build it nearby so people can find it, but where's the fun in that? Just got to build a big old road now. There we go. Lovely. Build a wind turbine. Well, I imagine it's windiest up high as well. This feels like the right amount of turbine to me. Any more and it would be just plain dangerous. 0% efficiency? You say that like it's a bad thing. 2 wind turbines are too close together. Their efficiency is decreased. Just 2, huh? Fine. I guess like my presence, less is better. Here we go. Powered up. Nice. Now the drills are drilling and the little workers are on their way to deliver goods to places far away. Well, they would be if I hadn't put a traffic light here with a setting of 21 million seconds, which is about 6,045 hours, which is about 251 days, which is longer than I've spent in a queue, that's for sure. Once they do get past that short delay, they'll have to venture on through the desert this way. They basically double back on themselves, over a ravine, up a small mountain, and back down again. Then pretty much back to where they started, before getting to a maze. Some of the roads don't work, but that doesn't feel like it's a me problem. After the maze, it's a short trip up another mountain, before delivering the sand and sulfur to the concrete factory. I don't expect this to impact my gameplay negatively in any way, but just to be sure, I'll turn the traffic light off and time how long it takes for them to do the journey. I'll be back in a second. That was a wait and a half. So 25 minutes to deliver 1 concrete per truck. It should be fine, I imagine. Let's keep building, hey? How much concrete does one really need? Okay, we need to build a spaceport now. This is how we get more people roped into working for us for nothing, other than the promise of a better tomorrow. And honestly, with me in charge, I'd be surprised if there even is a tomorrow. Keeping in line with the terrible roads that we've already built, we'll make the road into our city annoyingly long and pointless. Oh, surprisingly, it seems we've run out of concrete, so I'll leave the game running for a few hours and resume later. See you soon. Oh, hi there, I'm back. Not that for you it was like I ever went anywhere. That's the power of editing for you. I left it on for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and we've managed to accumulate 5,700, which doesn't really feel like a big number to me. We can, however, build more mines now and even some houses to allow more workers to join us. So the houses need oxygen before they can function as living areas. Believe me, I tried to move families in before providing oxygen, and there wasn't a whole lot of living going on. To upgrade the houses, you need additional minor things such as food and water. We'll add a couple more air makers in and some water makers, and now we should get people arriving. We can add a few more landing pads in too. I don't know if it increases the number of arrivals, but it sure looks cool. Great, they're all connected nicely. You can see that the immigration is affected by the housing quality, so we should make upgrading the houses our main priority. Now that our priorities are in order, our next task will be to build a research area. I know, right? I threw that one out the window fairly quickly. We need a blue science pack factory and a research lab. 6 out of 11 scientists that I spoke to on a Wednesday say research helps to learn things. Oil is the key ingredient to the research, so we'll make an oil pump on this here oil field. Now just connect them together, and now finally to the main road. So it turns out we need power for this thing as well, huh? As I don't want to deal with the annoyance of having to power things in the future, I'll take the initiative to just power the entire planet. Nice, we're electric now. All this abundance of electricity has got me in the mood for building some more houses. We can also make some more concrete plants because I don't want anyone to be unemployed and feel left out on my planet. Connect the concrete factory together with one of my infamous roads and we're golden. All these new jobs have made the traffic a little bit slow. It seems this junction here is the problem. We'll fix it by eliminating the need to use the junction. Problem solved. I'll just go ahead and switch the traffic light off as well because it will probably help speed things up. Yeah, there we go. It's flowing like my grandma's bladder now. The maze seems to be having some issues as well, such as defying the laws of physics. It seems all these concrete factories on the mountain may not have been a good idea after all. Not because of the location, oh no, but because it's put more stress on the single roadway that we have. So what I'm thinking is, and it's pretty out of the box, we just make a single purpose road for each factory. We'll need a sand and sulfur mine, connect those two bad boys together, then a road that is unnecessarily long that leads to the concrete factory, and lastly another city road that leads to the supply warehouse where they can drop the concrete off to be used. Now we just have to do this a dozen times over and we'll have ourselves a concrete farm. This shouldn't take too long. Bear with me a moment. Well, things certainly went from bad to worse to good to bad again, and then to whatever the heck this mess is. The people seem to know what they're doing, which is a good thing because I sure don't. It may look like Spider-Man sneezed on a bunch of buildings, but the concrete production has grown exponentially. I set up another one here that's just doing the same thing. It's helped our place grow from a village to whatever the next stage is in the evolutionary chain that is masses of buildings. It's either a town or a herd, I always get them confused. I'll add some more houses now and a few more air/water facilities. I'll also build more roads as well because if there's one thing that I'd like people to remember my planet for, it's got to be too many roads. If I know my villagers are in their cars complaining about the traffic, the potholes, the endless one-way streets, I can live in my golden palace somewhat happy. I'll go ahead and put some wind turbines amongst the buildings as well because people are always talking about how cool they look. It sure adds a touch of class and danger to the place. Great, both concrete factories are continuing to concrete without any issues. I knew that with a bit of careful planning, we could achieve the bare minimum. My research has been a bit slow, so I think we need to work on that next. I don't care what the things do, I just want them all. We'll start by making the research place a little closer to the oil field. Now we'll add in some carbon dioxide generators to give it all the love it needs. I can imagine that to produce the carbon dioxide, there is probably a group of workers that take it in turns to enter a room and exhale. Great, the research area looks smart now. Next up, we'll start producing steel. We'll need iron for this. First, we build an iron mine, then we connect it to the steel factory. It also requires carbon dioxide and water, so we'll connect one of each of those to our chain. Finally, it needs the storage place connected so it can unload the crafted steel. And now we just need to do that a dozen more times as well. Bear with me. And here we are, a lean, mean steel making machine. Now we need to upgrade our houses further to get more workers coming to our planet. We need home appliances next, which seems an odd thing to have missed out. So we need to connect iron and copper to an electronics factory. After that, it will bring the electronics to a home appliances factory. Now it's going to make toasters, kettles, fridges, stoves, and other stuff that's fun to bathe with. And if you hadn't guessed by now, the game requires you to make a lot of connections, something I have failed at my entire life. Now we can unlock more research tiers by building these green science pack factories. We need to connect them to a sand mine, Walter White's caravan, an aluminium mine, and the old blue research. Now with it planned out, we'll just go overboard with the amount we have. A few more break-in bads for good measures, and finish it off with a confusing but somewhat functional roadway. Great, it really looks like something. Now I'll just go ahead and select every research possible, and we can unlock new things to confuse us further. The planet is certainly beginning to look like a place of work now. All my previous factory setups are still functioning, which surprises me. I think it's time we added some quirky text to this place. I figured a message would be best, so I went with, "Welcome, I crashed on this planet, so if you're reading this, perhaps send some help, unless you have also crashed, in which case you are not welcome at all." Let's just hope that our rescuers aren't offended by poor grammar, otherwise they may end up leaving us here to die. Great, so optimistic message of hope completed. It's time to upgrade some of our roadways. We can now build motorways. Ooh, it makes the cars go from this to this. So yeah, just have to replace the pieces one by one. Shouldn't take too long. Oh, that took forever. But our research is really coming along now. We've unlocked so much stuff that I still haven't used or seen or even care about. It's truly great. With all this new technology comes the need for more power. Luckily now we've shrunken the dead zone around the wind turbines so they can be packed in closer together. The city's busy now with roads that lead to nowhere and people getting lost. Upgrading the roads between the buildings may be tricky as they could cause clipping, but with a little perseverance and deletion of anything that does cause trouble, we can do it. Because after all, a problem doesn't exist anymore if the thing that was causing it no longer does. There you go. That's a quote worthy of the Jaden Smith Bible. Next up, computers in parks. A computer factory is complicated to make. You need an electronics factory with the copper and iron feeding into it. You then need a microchip factory that has the electronics and sand feeding into that. You then finally have the computer factory, which has the microchips, plastic and aluminium feeding into that. As you can imagine, the further along you get in the game, the more crazy this becomes. The park is easy at least. You just place a park down. That's it really. It's got green stuff in it and people frolic around with hardly any clothes on and let their dogs crap everywhere. It's really a magical place. The hardest part to place in the parks is just making sure all the houses are covered, because for whatever reason we really care about people having outdoor space. And there we have it, a new stage of housing. Let's go ahead and give our city some basic plumbing now, so that it comes up to date and feels a little bit more modern. Here we go, the pipeline. This took an awful lot of planning and preparation to get it this complex. I'll give you a sneak peek at how I tackled it as long as you promise to behave. I did a little bit of this and a little bit of this as well. Shh, don't tell anyone about this method. It's our little secret. Next up, I think it's time we make a train. So we just connect some resources to our... oh, what? Why are you attached to me? Stop it. Why are you doing this to me? Let go or I'll tell an adult. Oh, you did? Thanks. So, as I was saying, just clear this up. You need to... Wait a minute. Why would you delete now? Nice. So we've found an endless concrete source. Assuming you are happy with 2 concrete per click and find joy in pressing a button repeatedly. I, for one, do enjoy that, but not today. So I guess the concrete farms that are bringing in thousands per second is better than nothing. Let's try this again, but from the top. Okay, so I built this train. It's pretty cool, isn't it? It goes up and down and up and down and up, and that's it really. Yeah, not very exciting. I did, however, build this bigger train track, but it's actually just gathering resources. If only there was a way to combine the pointless but sleek design of the first train track with the not so pointless but boring design of the second train track. Oh, wait a minute, there is, because I've already done that. I give you Trainado. I mean, this is pretty cool, isn't it? It looks like a tornado and everything. Don't you think so? Oh, you don't think so? How about now? Well, it's sure fun to look at and spin around, but it is distracting us from the task of upgrading houses. So back to that, I guess. So for the next stage, we need a good meal, home robots, and entertainment, which is pretty standard for every household in my opinion. Personally, me and my Roomba order pizza and watch Netflix on every day of the week that ends with the word day. The entertainment is much like the park. Just plop it down where there's space and people will go to it and play bingo or whatever it is that people do these days in groups. The robots, however, oh me oh my, you need sensors from a sensor factory, neural processors from a neural processor factory, and motors from a motor factory. Like any factory in this game, each one of those requires even more things just to confuse the heck out of you. Take this motor for instance, that needs steel, copper bars, and oil. The steel requires a steel mill, which we made earlier. That needs iron, water, and carbon. The copper bars need a copper mill, which requires chemicals and sulfur. You see where this is going, right? Basically, to make these robots, we need all of these buildings here. Instead of my now famous ability to carefully plan things to the smallest of details, I'm going to mix things up a bit. Hold on just a second. Oh, here you have it. It took me quite a while, but I've basically just made a bunch of roads. I then put all the buildings I needed anywhere and everywhere. I mean, you can see the traffic is a bit of a problem in places, but I'm not in it myself, so I don't really care. It's people's fault if they wanted to move to this city. They knew exactly what they were in for when they signed up. It's getting quite chaotic now, but thankfully, I think I've just won the game. If winning the game is done by ending the video here, which it is, so hooray for me. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching my midlife crisis unfold in the form of making OCD people sweat as much as I've hated every minute of it. If you'd like to see more of this game, then you should definitely move into my city. I'll put you in this new area dedicated to architects. Why architects? There was a reason. Never mind. Until next time, toodaloo.